Welcome to Spectating and Specialtating Low-Level Players and the Crew 2. This is a mix of that the Crew 2 was $1 for quite a while, and that got a whole heck of a heap of new players in it, and some people have done this in the past with games like Grand Theft Auto 5, and I wouldn't be all that surprised if people's done it with the Crew 2 by now as well, but I'll say this, might be a little bit unique because, well, you can take my uniqueness as you may. And it's raining in the background from the hurricane, even in Kentucky. So the power was out for a while, and I didn't get to charge the controller, even though I wanted to. So that might die at any moment. And you might hear rain in the background. There ain't really much I can do about it, because we're getting rain for like the next 3 days. And, well, like the next 3 hours maybe is about all the chance I have to record. So let's get into it. That in and of itself makes it a little bit unique, doesn't it? So anyway, stipulations for this is anyone level 100 or lower. Show off them in a unique way. I did this for maybe 4 hours or so, and this is the best, maybe a little bit over 10 minutes of it that I got. And I'll specialtate it. So, anyway, there you have it, folks. This is what it is, so let's get into it. And it's actually starting off pretty wholesome. Two of the lower level players is drifting around in the salt flats, and it's something you can't really get in much other games. The Crew 2 is just so vast that other games might have salt flats and stuff like that. But it's just such a wide area in which people can enjoy themselves. And they kind of did the Fast and Furious 7 or Grand Tour ending, not to spoil too much on that still. But to spoil Fast and Furious 7, the parting ways there at the end type thing. And so I will join them. That's part of it too. It's that sometimes in other things you just specialtate or spectate or however you want to word it of what they're doing in general, but this time I can actually join them, because one thing good about the Crew 2 is it doesn't actually need PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live in order to just cruise around with people. So that is a positive for Ubisoft, which is a rare thing nowadays. But again, it's obviously positive that the game was $1, so that made this video possible and a lot of these new players possible. So that's fun in general, ain't it? Ubisoft has a lot of flaws, even still, and a lot of it they'll probably never make up for, but still pretty cool that stuff like this can happen with so many new players. I'll give positives when positives are due. You can take my actual driving as positive or negative as you may, but compared to others, we're all just drifting around in a big open area, and I wouldn't really think all that too much bad would happen from this, I would hope. Yeah, it's actually looking pretty tame. Actually kind of getting a little bit of convoy or drift terrain or however you want to call it there. And of course mine is the fully maxed out drift car, and I'm still not even really gaining all that much on the new player. Mine has all golden parts, and I mean it's just kind of, well, golden in general. You can take the if it looks a little bit gaudy or however you want to word it as you may, and I guess you can take my driving as you may as well. Was that my fault, or that it's my fault, isn't it? Yeah, my driving ain't the dandiest. So here's someone else that's actually doing some good driving. A low-level player actually being able to do rock climbing and stuff, and a change of scenery, to say the least. Maybe my driving could have a bit of change of scenery too. We'll see. I'll meet up with that other player, and let's see if I can follow them as good as they were able to follow the terrain. We'll see about that. Holy snikes. Yeah, it's a little bit more momentum than I can recover from, and yeah, bouncing and drifting along at 140 miles an hour. Ain't really the dandiest, but I mean, that's kind of what you do in Nitro Circus type thing, so yeah, Nitro Circus Mopar monster truck thing, I mean, that's better than nothing, but my driving ain't far from nothing whatsoever so far. Yeah, I've kind of been outdone by the lower level players every time, so that ain't particularly the dandiest, is it? But I have a helicopter, and the lower players don't have that, because you have to pretty much finish the story mode. I can't even remember the exact details because it's been so long, but nonetheless, none of the lower level players have a helicopter, so yeah. See how good lower levels do doing story mode and such like this challenge. Not the dandiest starting out. not exactly the dangerous continuing, and I feel a little bit better about my driving now, to say the least, folks. To say the least, maybe we should move on from that player a little bit. But y'all saw that I'm decent at flying the helicopter. I don't really feel like doing boats, so I'll fly my helicopter to that boat. From a big boat to a slightly smaller boat, I guess you could say. Yeah, that's a giant boat. But I'd say that's a big enough boat where I can land on it, right? A yacht type thing, that shouldn't be any big deal, and I can press the smallest, but oh, well, yeah. I'll try and land on a small boat. Yeah, maybe I should have just tried to land on that little yacht, big yacht to little yacht, and press that boat. Yeah, that didn't work out trying to land on the boat itself, to say the least. I swear I can actually do some occasional good driving, I really can. Like sweeping around traffic and stuff. And I actually purposely got into my fancy Mercedes SL300 race car because I saw that that lower level had a Mercedes as well. So do a little bit of team up and all that. And I can actually have some fancy driving around there too. With the pretty weather, with the rain, and the... I can't remember if this was dawn or dusk, but still pretty scenery and all that, and good driving. Maybe I can redeem myself a little bit with that. Maybe. And it's Mercedes with Mercedes, and there's the formation going and all that. I feel better about my driving now. Now I'm technically challenging a higher level player, but there's also a low level player there too, so let's see what I can actually do in a car that I'm more used to. That car I purposely got in to just try and impress the other low level driver. This car I know a whole heck of a heap. There's actually videos on the channel of me using this car. This is the main car that I use for the circuit car racing. Touring car. Yeah, it's not really all that close. It is, counting it a little bit, but realistically, yeah, it wasn't all that close. One car in the wall and one way, way behind. It was honestly a little bit anticlimactic to end off there. Hopefully there can end up being something better. Holy snikes, a police chase, folks. That wasn't planned whatsoever. Actually, it truly wasn't. I just saw a Ford Mustang speeding, and I knew that was going to go really bad, and it went even worse for me. And getting outdone by the low level again. Before, I was able to run past him way too quick, and somebody was way behind and in a wall. And this time, I'm getting outdriven by a most likely stock Mustang of a completely new player. So yeah, I feel like ramming them into a wall because they were slightly speeding. In my far too high up level of everything Max and the Gotti, painting all that Bugatti cop car versus stock Mustang. Hopefully I can do something, folks, hopefully. Hopefully the Mustang doesn't end up doing something terrible too, like Mustangs are notorious for. It avoided that one time, but then it hit a pole, and luckily there's no traffic to hit, so it's pretty peaceful. Tried for a takedown, and I got spun out. Yeah, this ain't the dangerous, folks, and really even the Crew 1 had the better cop chases anyway, and it seems like the Crew Motorfast has some better as well. The Crew 2 probably has the most anticlimactic for it, but holy snikes, that was cool. That was cool. Jumping off that mountain bit there, okay, that was not planned, and yeah, I think I won that one. I think that Mustang is arrested now. Yeah, he took himself out there. I couldn't really do much there. I got outdriven by the low-level driver, but after helping the world, I kind of feel like messing around with some of the lower-level drivers now, too, after they've kind of outdone my driving for a while. So there's a low-level and a motorcycle, and I'm in the biggest vehicle in the game, and yeah, I just kind of felt like having a little bit of fun there. I don't think that's going to come back to haunt me. I really don't think after. And they're running from me even in the monster truck. They have a little bit to compete, but still running from me in the monster truck and hits a tree. And holy snikes, I'm actually looking pretty cop picking good, folks, ain't I? Looking pretty cop picking good, to say the least. Holy snikes, Jiminy Cricket, and I'm doing a wheelie, and that maybe ain't the dandiest. I think there's a little bit of sucking and jiving, maybe even a slight bit of sweeving. Sweeving is, I'm not even moving. So I pretty much just tied there for the lower level. I'm in a much heavier car, more powerful car, and it's tie with the lower level. So far, my best, really, except for a few individual instances, has been pretty much a tie. Not looking the best. I think the higher level here probably needs to redeem us, like, higher levels there. I really do. Here, there, anywhere, the higher level, please redeem for the higher levels here. They're doing emotes and stuff, so that's something, and then the higher level wrecked, and it's off. Wrecked into a tree, wrecked into the side, and then wrecked into a tree. The higher levels are just outright and got spun out, and I might have to kind of do something about it. As y'all can see too, I'm not really so much into teleporting to them itself, because of the very first clip, I ain't actually the daniest of getting that to work. This is after a few hours of trying it, and I stood to daniest, and that took a while, so I essentially just flew to them. And I'm still getting outran. There we go. That kind of redeemed a little bit. So, that was cool enough. And that ain't particularly... This was just a funny bit, so I will restart it. So, if you're not really looking all that much on the screen here, this bit is just more funny than anything. The Mustang blocking traffic. The Mustang doing Mustang things and blocking traffic. The pedestrian runs into the car, not the car runs into the pedestrian. But then the car runs into the pedestrian and the car after the pedestrian ran into the car. And that's just an absolute mess, ain't it, folks? So here's another cop chase. The first one wasn't a mess whatsoever, was it, folks? So here's another cop chase because all that chaos triggered a cop chase. Let's just say that Mustang that was blocking the traffic got resprayed. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure just the Mustang you get outright if you pick the Mustang, which it seems like most people do, is yellow. But, so that's why there's been 2 yellow Mustangs. But this one's resprayed a bit, still lower level. So let's see what I can do again, my very much overpowered Bugatti cop car against a lower level Mustang. Slightly resprayed this time, but even with the new fancy paint job, hopefully I can do a little bit of something. Maybe even something and a half right yonder. Maybe. Or not. And I get moved out of the way. And yeah, I just got shook and booked there. That ain't the daniest. I really did just get shook and booked there. Luckily, my car was fast enough to recover from that, but if we were in equal cars, they definitely would have gotten away. But luckily, I'm getting achievements just for screwing around, even when I got shook and booked, so yeah. That's at least something. Luckily, my car is slightly overpowered as I almost hit the semi. It's really about the first traffic I've seen through this. Back roads in this game don't really have enough traffic. I mean, this is especially with evening and all that too, so it'd be rush hour. Not much traffic. But anyway, y'all might be recognizing where we are, which actually at the time I didn't, so I continued to chase and all that, and I was thinking they were finally going to pull over and they got tired of it and all that, but it kept going and all that, so I'm still going to try. Slow speed chase at this point and a little bit boring. Maybe that car's a little bit too much damage to continue, even though that's not actually a thing in this game. Like it was even in the Crew 1 with the damage and all that. Cars can be damaged out in the cop chases and all that. The Crew 1 did it better. I missed the Crew 1. Ubisoft's never going to redeem themselves for that, are they? I'm pretty sure I was just blocking a race car going to a race track. That doesn't really look the dandiest for me now, does it? Yeah, I screwed up. They were just going to Laguna Seca, which is cool that it's in the game. Laguna Seca is pretty much in all the racing games, but it's cool. So there's that. So now I figured I'm not really going to bother anymore with the trying to be a hero and saving humanity and stuff. I might as well just screw around. Granted, I did a little bit of that before, but here's a lot of it. If I can actually do the teleporting thing, right? Is that just me again being outdone, even though I'm played this game for many hundreds, probably at this point getting close to 1,000 hours, or is that system just bad for everyone? Were you looking at the car there, folks? While you're looking at my car, look at this Yeah. Slight bit of pop in there. I mean, maybe my car is using up all the frames per second and all the GPU and CPU and all that, but my driving's a little bit of just PU right now. Yeah. My car is a bit much, so you might have not been looking at the screen there, but yeah, there's some popping and a half right yonder, and maybe don't look at the screen when my driving is that bad. Just enjoy the specialty, I guess. And the other car sold back up, though, so at least there's a little bit of convoy and a bit of fun happening and stuff, so that's a pretty good way to end off there, just messing around. And even with the cops kind of redeeming themselves, too, just messing around. They're even with 2 cop cars in the middle of traffic and slamming into the other cars and all that. And there's another that's probably be pulled over ramming into the cops there, but screw it, I'm just going to have fun and do burnouts and stuff like that. Didn't off because I've failed in pretty much every way, shape, and form so far. I got outdriven every time, so the end with the fun and such. Yeah. In hindsight, I kind of just got outdriven the vast majority of the times by the low-level players, or even at the times when I looked pretty good, it only lasted for a brief bit because either I did something stupid in hindsight, or the other ended up showing off later. So yeah, my talent at this game is very much few and far in between. I was much better with the Crew 1 physics. And even when the very much new players can outdo me in a lot of ways, it's maybe not the best for me, but I had fun with this. I could do a part 2 or whatever it may be with this sort of thing, or do a variation of it and all that, but I mean, realistically, no one's really all that good with this game's physics. There ain't really all that much prettiness and stuff. I got fairly lucky with driving that old Mercedes. I have no experience weaving through traffic. That was pure and utter luck and stuff like that, so yeah. Overall, this game's more about the sandbox and just scurrying around and stuff like that than actually doing cool stuff, but at least this game allows for that to happen without having PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live, so that's some redeeming stuff in the sea of Ubisoft failures. Kind of like with me, there's a little bit of redeeming stuff in the sea of downright failures. I guess that's the comparison to end off the video. Overall, though, the Crew 2, not the Crew 1 in the slightest, but the Crew 2 being $1 is most certainly worth a yeehaw. Way more than my driving.